folks, let's finish this last example out. So the first thing I want to do is I notice I don't have an LCD. I don't have common denominators. So let me find the LCD. So if I break down, oops, let me start with this. If I break down x squared minus 5x, that is going to be x times x minus 5. Okay. And then we've got 5x minus 25. I can factor the 5 out of that problem or that denominator, and I have x minus 5. Okay, so I can see I have three factors essentially. I have an x minus 5, and a 5. So if I want to build the LCD, I need all three of those represented. I'm going to start with the number, right, just 5. I need the x, and then I need the x minus 5. So there is my LCD. The next thing I'm going to work on is multiplying each of these fractions over here by whatever version of 1 they need to get to the least common denominator. So to give you, I'm going to break this down just a little bit. I have 5 over x minus 5, right, minus x over 5 times x minus 5. I am going to be a little worried, not worried, but wary, I should say, that I have that subtraction sign there. I'm going to have to really make sure I distribute that negative to the entire numerator. All right, so let's see what we got here. I'm going to start with my first fraction, 5, and then I'm going to do x minus 5. Okay, so looking at this denominator to my LCD, right? I don't have the 5, I do have the x, I have the x minus 5. So if I look this denominator to the LCD, it's missing the 5. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by 5 over 5. All right, let me take a look at my second fraction. What do we have? X over 5 times x minus 5. Okay, let me see. So from 5 times x minus 5 to my LCD of 5x, x minus 5, I'm missing the x. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by x over x. And when I do that, I essentially have common denominators now. So let's just clean this up a little bit. My first fraction, I've got 5x, x minus 5, and 5 times 5 is going to be 25. My second fraction, I've got 5x, x minus 5, and I've got x squared up here. Okay, so now since I have common denominators, I can keep that common denominator and I can subtract the numerators. And I actually don't need to distribute anything because this is just a monomial up here, which is fine. But hopefully, again, spidey senses are going off, and you can see this is a difference of squares. So let me rewrite this. We've got 5x, x minus 5, and this is essentially 5 minus x, 5 plus x, right? And then we just talked about in example 10 how when you have a binomial and they have the same terms, right? These both have a 5, they both have an x, but they're in opposite order, right? This is 5 minus x, this is x minus 5. These simplify to -1. They're always going to cancel out to -1. So there's a few ways you can write this answer up. I'm going to write them a bunch of different ways. So what I can do, I can keep that negative on the numerator and write 5 times x on the denominator, right? So I can take this numerator of -1 times the 5 plus x, and then the thing that survived on the denominator is 5x. That is one way to do that. And if that works for you, great. I tend to write my negative out in front also just fine. So there's the negative is just in the numerator, protecting the binomial. Here the negative is out in front of the fraction, and it's implied that it's distributed to the entire binomial. Or I can distribute this -1. I can send the -1 to the -5 and the -1 to the x. And you could, in the numerator, just write -5 minus x over 5x. So you've got 3 different ways of writing up your end game answer. I think for me, I probably do it this way or this way. I don't know that I'd go and distribute it, but I just want you to see you could. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.